Ian. Hi, everybody. So, my name is Cristiano De Alti, and I'm not the Kura project lead. I work as an IoT middleware manager at Eurotech. So, but I've been in the project since the early days, so I think I can give you a short overview of the project. So I'll stick to the Ian's agenda as much as possible. So what's Kura? Well, Kura is a mature Eclipse project now. So there are a few new definitions that we would use for, would like to use for Kura. So it's basically an OSGI service-based framework for building IoT applications. So it's an IoT gateway management application because even if you don't develop any Kura applications, you will still be able to manage your IoT gateway using Kura, either programmatically or remotely from a cloud platform, for example. It's also, since Kura 3.0, a data flow programming tool, so you can create your complex workflows using the Kura Wires framework. So Benjamin already showed something in his presentation before for the Unite project. It's, of course, an application container because either you can deploy bundles in Kura as OSGI applications, or with this release, you can also have external application and processes using some of the services provided by Kura. And of course, if you need a framework working well with Eclipse Kura, you should use or try Eclipse Kura. So, a few notes on Kura 3.1. We have just released Kura, which a new release of Kura with some interesting new features. So, as an edge computing platform, we re-implemented the Kura DB store using the H2 database. So now you also have a web UI for connecting to the database and trying some queries, and also the ability of starting a server on the database, so you will be able to connect or share your database with external processes and applications. We also added the ability to restify some of the Kura services, and we did it for the new asset API. So you also have now a RESTful endpoint for the asset API in Kura. And we added the Artemis MQTT broker as a service in Kura. So you can start an embedded MQTT broker and configure it from Kura. In terms of digital twins, we added a new feature in the web UI, so it's a drivers and asset view. Now you can have your digital twins, so your sensors, managed by either Kura, so from its web UI, or Kapua as well. And finally, well, not finally, but we added also a new Bluetooth Low Energy API, which is implemented using the Intel TinyB project. So, sure. In terms of new drivers, we also added a new Siemens S7 driver through Mocha 7 and a sensor tag driver, so a driver which you can use for connecting to Texas Instrument sensor tags. We added more components for Kura wires. So there's a new JavaScript wire component that you can use for complex scripting inside Kura wires. And we have some interesting self-healing features, major improvements to the Kura Watchdog service, and also a connection monitor in the Kura data service. So basically, this will take care of making sure that you can connect to your cloud platform, and if something goes wrong, the Watchdog service will reboot or reset your system. So something to recover from bad things happening on the field. And we added a publish rate limiting for the MQTT messages published by your applications. So in terms of project statistics, we have had 1,000 downloads in September 2016. We have more than 150 forks and 31 contributors. We have a fairly large number of committers. Not all of them are still active. And there's a new committer who joined in September, Marco Erker from Comtrade. We have more than 150 GitHub issues, but well, actually only 40 bugs. So we use also GitHub issues for other things like feature requests, announcements, ideas, and discussions. About the Eclipse Marketplace, we have now 25 packages on the marketplace with 3 Industry 4.0 drivers. There's a new S7 driver. There's 1 new sensor tag driver. There are 4 new packages for Bluetooth Low Energy, for scanners and advertisers. And there's 1 new scripting component for Kura wires. So project plan for release 3.2, we will try to improve further the stability of Kura, so we don't actually plan to add many more features. Instead, we would like to go through a thorough code coverage and cleanup, fix, of course, some of the bugs that we have now open on GitHub. For the web UI, we would like to also improve the usability of the Wires Composer, so mostly in terms of placement, component selection, zoom, and that kind of stuff. Also adding a dedicated UI view for GPIOs and LED management in the web UI, which is sometimes interesting for debugging purposes. And also more wires components in terms of enhancing the component model, so adding components with multiple input and output ports, conditional components, synchronization components, and feedback components.
When is 3.2 planned?
So yeah, it's next.
Okay, sorry.
So this is another slide for things that we would like to address for the next release. So asset and wires initialization, and a lot of work on the Kura network admin. So we have a lot of work to do on interface management in terms of new modes, new capabilities for bridging network interfaces and selection of the wide area network interface. Also work on cleaning up a little bit the OS dependencies that we right now have in that part, in that component of Kura. And more work on modem support. And of course, we have to improve our release engineering, which kind of complicate now. So In terms of challenges, we would like to try to establish a pace for Kura releases. So we would like to try to release on a time-based approach. So one release in spring, one release in fall. We think that it matches some of the events that happen in spring and fall. We also would like to consider releasing service releases for previous Kura versions. And we have a couple of things on deploying the Kura artifacts to Maven Central and also providing an P2 update site. So this is a couple of items that we have postponed for at least a couple of releases now. And still work on the development environment. We have two different approaches. Right now, we would like to see which one would really be the official development environment. And well, for the Eclipse IoT marketplace, it would be great if we could have support for multiple versions of a package, because currently you can basically only have one single version for a given package. It's not like for the IDE packages where you can have multiple versions for different IDE releases. And another interesting topic is about the LGPL, which currently is not very EPL friendly. But we found out that running on Linux, you will have to interface with some native libraries at some point if you want to do something useful. So it's not really an easy thing to do right now.
So do you mean GPL or LGPL?
LGPL.
So,
well, LGPL, we know it's possible, but you have a couple of options in Eclipse. So either you you can use a prerequisite.
yes, so just LGPL and EPL are compatible.
I know.
For licensing, right? It's just you're not allowed to bring LGPL into an Eclipse project.
That's true.
Okay.
But it takes some time, right, for using the LGPL libraries as a works with dependency. Sorry, a prerequisite dependency.
Okay. So the other thing, so there's the EPL 2.0, the new version of EPL that might use that's you can specify GPL compatibility. So,
okay.
So you might.
And it will be released.
EPL D2 is out now.
Okay.
Right, so and all projects are actually expected to, on your next release, to migrate to EPL V2.
Okay.
And we can define LGPL dependencies.
No, not LGPL. So it's GPL. You can specify that EPL, the EPL code can be compatible with GPL. But so it's not. Sorry, you're talking about the dependencies.
Yeah. So linking LGPL libraries.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this will
From EPL code, basically.
This is not permitted. This will continue to be not permitted to have an LGPL dependency in the product.
I'm not sure.
GPL, I don't think so.
You can
Right?
ask for board approval.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and so probably we need to better understand how the release review works. So this is something, an item for us. So how to meet a release deadline, making sure that you go through all the Eclipse review, release process in time for the release deadline. So in terms of so next release will happen in spring, basically, to answer your question. In terms of collaboration, new collaboration opportunities, we had a contribution to Kura by Kevium for porting Kura to a generic ARM 64-bit Linux distribution. We have a work in progress effort by Canonical for providing a snap for Kura snap for Ubuntu Core. You want to check out that repository if you're interested. We are present here with a PPMP WISE component for the Unite Eclipse project, which will be presented at the testbed. And there have been a couple of discussions on the forum and the mailing lists on these two things. So providing Python-based remote services. So there is an ongoing conversation with Scott Lewis. There is this new library, this couple of new libraries for more sensors and more sensors that could be integrated in Kura. Okay, so I think I'm done.
Great.